Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at XLinq and how to use XLinq to query XML documents. XLinq is the Linq implementation on top of XML documents. It allows us to query documents, modify documents, append to documents. Basically, it is the next generation of the XML document and XPath combination that we've used since .NET's inception. I find it very simple to use and very easy, and actually less cumbersome and less clumsy than XPath and XML. Let's go ahead and create a simple test. What we're going to do first is we're actually just going to do a few counts on the data. And I've already gone ahead and I've imported a XML document that we'll be using. Here it is. It is an embedded resource. I'll pull it out of the assembly. You could obviously pull it off of a file system or out of memory. And since I am pulling this out of the assembly, I've gone ahead and created myself a simple helper method that will do that for me. And it'll return me back the XDoc object. So let's go ahead and get started. The XML document object is probably something new to you. This is part of the XLinq implementation. This essentially is the same thing as the XML document object. That's with the older XML implementations. So I'm going to go ahead and call into my helper method just to return my document for me. And then we're actually going to do three types of counts. I'm going to do a list count. I'm going to do document descendants. Descendant is a keyword that allows you to walk the tree. Oops, not concat. Count. Well, that's only going to give us a count of these. Let's go ahead and count up all the subscribers too. We'll do that. Do sub count. Descendants. You'll notice that I didn't qualify it with which list, so I'll actually return all of them. Well, these are very simple and probably not a lot of use for you, so let's actually return a count where an attribute is of a certain value. So we'll do document.descendants. We'll do attributes, because we're going to look for a given attribute. And I don't know, let's do where, and this is where our lambda expressions come into play. Do value equal to random. Count. Let's put a breakpoint here and let's just step through this and see how it works. I'm using the ReSharper test runner. If you don't have ReSharper and you want to do this via unit test, you can use any testing library, testing framework, and it'll give you the same results. So let's step over this and see how many I have. I do have 2. That's great. How many of these do I have? I have 14. Now here comes the big one. How many match? 2 match with the attribute type and random. So what that one's actually done, it stepped in here, looked at the subscriber, gone to every subscriber node, and looked at everyone that has an attribute that matches the value random. Nothing magical there, but fairly straightforward and fairly simple, but yet fairly powerful when you start to get the idea of how to use the XLinq syntax. Let's go ahead and create one that's a little bit more meaningful. Let's create one that actually queries the document and lets you do more things than just simply do a count. Let me go ahead and put my test attribute on here so I can do some tests. I'm going to go ahead and create my X document again. Now, if you've done any Linq to objects or Linq to SQL work, you'll notice that the syntax here is very similar, which is by design. So let's do var items. Let's do from doc. So I'm going to go ahead and alias, and I'm going to do document in document. And let's go ahead and do descendants, and I'm going to look at all the subscribers. Now I could simply do this and be done, and it would return me back basically the XML document with only going into and giving me all the subscriber information, but that's really not that useful for me right now. So let's go ahead and do something else. Let's actually look for something that has elements that equal inactive. So it has a status element that equals inactive. So let's do status. I'm going to use my alias doc, elements, status, where status, and this status here is from here. The let keyword is basically a local variable declaration inside of XLinq. Let's do inactive. You'll notice I'm getting this little red squiggly. Well, that's because status doesn't know what type it is, so I need to actually type it right there. And you'll see my little squigglies go away, and because I want to just show you that we can iterate over this. Let's do something system diagnostics debug item dot. Let's do attribute. Let's look for that type attribute that we were working with earlier. And if this works, I should return a few elements that only have status of inactive. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to step over my XLinq. Just make sure it evaluated correctly, and oh, nothing was found. What happened? So I obviously fat-fingered something here. Do I have any statuses that are inactive? Did I maybe misspell it? Subscribe, misspelled subscriber. Well, there's a simple common scenario where you misspell something and you don't get the results you're looking for. Step over this. Do I have items now? Yes, I do. And if I go look at my output, I should have a value of random, and I do. So I'm only finding inactive, and if I hover over this, it should come down here, and I see a status of inactive, so it should have only found the inactive items. Well, that's cool, that's great, but let's say you don't want to return back the entire node, and you only want to return back select nodes or certain nodes. Well, you can do that with XLinq. Do it the same way you would do it with standard Linq. Let's just call this, I don't know, we're going to look for the, what node do we want to look for? We'll look for the first name node. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that so I don't fat finger it real quick. Let's do doc where element is first name. And we'll do last name as well, just to kind of show the point. Now you'll notice this turned red because, well, I don't have that element anymore. The compiler has figured out that I don't actually have the data type of an XML doc anymore. I have something a little different. So I'm going to do first name, and then I'm actually going to do this twice because I want to show you something real quick. If I just use first name, it will actually return me this entire node with the attribute, with any particular attributes or anything like that. If I do this with value, it will return me just the C data within the data document. So let's go ahead and put a breakpoint on this and rerun this. Step over. If I go look at my output again, you'll see that I have my entire node, and then I simply have my C data. So there you have it. Two fairly simple but straightforward examples on how to use the XLinq document or XLinq library to iterate over an XML document. In the first example, we did some simple counts, and I showed you how to use the fluent style syntax that XLinq provides. And then down here, we actually filtered based on values, and we introduced the let keyword. And then we showed how to use anonymous type to actually return simply the first name and the last name. And I could even go a step further. And if I didn't want to return the entire object or entire node, I could do that as well. I can do numerous different things. Basically, I have the power to do anything I want at this point. So we showed how to do that. This is a very relatively straightforward introduction, and I hope you learned something. Until next time.